Good afternoon, Campbell Middle ELA Department. This is Alex Fahey, and I will be leading this content meeting looking at our latest CCRPI and milestone data. The purpose of this presentation is for us to work together as an ELA department to see and understand what the ELA milestone data looks like for our students. While I'll be showing the trends from the last 3 years, I want us to really key into the 2018-2019 school year. These numbers were just released in our monthly faculty meeting, so I will dive further into the ELA data. As we consider this presentation, here are some questions. What are the current strengths for ELA instruction? What are the current weaknesses? Are there any groups not meeting proficiency? And what can we as ELA teachers do to help students reach this proficiency? Before we dig into the data, turn to your partner and make 2 predictions about our ELA milestone data. Feel free to pause the video while you are making predictions. This slide shows the latest CCRPI data. Campbell is in blue, Cobb is in orange, and the state is in gray. We have been showing an upward trend over the last 3 years. Our 2018-2019 CCRPI score is 72.1. While the district and state are higher than us, 86.1 and 75.9 respectively, we are still seeing an increase in our score. Campbell Middle has 84 teachers. These 3 pie charts show the demographics of our teaching staff. The majority of our staff are females, and we are a relatively young staff in terms of teaching experience, which this pie chart over here explains. So 48 of our teachers only have between 1 to 10 years of experience. And this pie chart over here breaks down our teacher demographics by race and ethnicity. This slide represents the number of students at Campbell over the last 3 years. You will see that we have been increasing each year. For the 2017-2018 school year, we actually added a 4th 6th grade team. In the 2018-2019 school year, we added both a 4th 6th grade and 7th grade team. What is important to note is that we started the 2018-2019 school year at around 1,600 students, but that number dropped by spring test time. And this year, for the 2019-2020 school year, we are consistently sitting at about 1,700 students enrolled at Campbell Middle School. From this slide, you will see our student demographic. As you know, we are a diverse population. Our largest populations are Black or African American and Hispanic students. So you will see that our Hispanic population has dropped a little bit over the last 3 years, while our Black or African American population has increased. And I want us to pay specific attention to our Hispanic population and our Black population. Not only are they the largest, but they are part of our school improvement plan. You will notice that the Asian and Pacific Islander population are remaining pretty consistent, and our white population is dropping just a little bit, but we're between 9 and 8% of the population. These pie charts are just representing our student demographics for a different visual representation. You will notice that we are staying pretty consistent, but our yellow, which is Hispanic, and the gray, which is Black or African American, they are the majority of our population. This table shows our student groups over the last 3 years. You will see that we have a large economically disadvantaged population. So we're sitting between 73 and 72.6% of our students that are coming with us that are economically disadvantaged. Our ELL students are about 29% of our population, and our students with disability have remained constant at about 14%. So again, I want us to focus on the ELLs because they are specifically part of our school improvement plan. This line graph shows the percent of Campbell students at or above proficiency in all contents for the school district and state. So this is all of our milestone math and ELA. You will notice that we are blue, and we are seeing a slight increase throughout the last 3 years, but we are significantly lower than the district, which is in red. So they're at 80.2 for the 18-19 school year, and we are at 59.6. And these are the students that are at or above proficiency. And as you know, as an ELA department, we are taking the rest of this presentation to really dig into the ELA milestone scores. So that's what the remainder of this presentation is about. So you will see to the right that these are the amount of students that Campbell has tested each year compared to the district test. So we are in blue, and this is the ELA milestone achievement for 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. You will see that we tracked upward between years 1 and 2, but between years 2 and 3, the district and ourselves have dropped significantly. And so this is something to kind of consider and make note of so we can figure out what happened, and we can kind of come up with some outcomes. This is broken down by 6th grade alone, so you will see that downward trend just like what we saw for the all grades. From the 17-18 school year, we were at a 58, we dropped to a 49.7. The district also showed a drop in scores. 7th grade, the trend continues with 59.4 dropping to 49.7, but again, you're seeing that district trend as well. This is the 8th grade scores, and what you will see is that they actually started at 64 for year 2 or 17-18, and they increased for the 18-19 school year, and they moved up to a 73.7. And the district saw a slight increase as well in their 8th grade students at an 81.1. So our 8th grade teachers are going to be a good resource for us to lean on and see what strategies they used in order to move their students up. So this is how our student groups in the school performed on the ELA milestones in 2018 and 2019. So again, I am just really zooming in on this 2018-2019 school year so we can discuss, since we saw that big drop in our 6th and 7th grade students. So our economically disadvantaged students, which are 72% of our population, only 70% of this population are scoring on 1s and 2s on the milestone. So these are our beginning learners and our developing learners. If we drop down to our ELLs, which make up 29% of our population, 70% of that population also make up 1s and 2s. Okay, so they are not a lot of these two groups are moving into the 3s and 4s, which is where we would like them to be. Our students with disabilities, 83% of them make up 1s and 2s on the milestone. So this is something to consider when we're really digging into the data. This is a different version of what the ELA milestones look like for our ELLs for 2018-2019, just to give you a different perspective of what it looks like, okay? Because we're really zoning in on this group. And then the last piece of data that I really want us to look at is these are the students by race and ethnicity that are at or above proficiency for ELA milestones. So these are the students that are scoring the 3s and the 4s on our milestones. You will notice that the highest group that is achieving 3s and 4s are our Asian and Pacific Islander group. However, they only make up 2.8% of our population. So while it is great they are tracking upward at 79.54, reaching at or above proficiency, they are not going to influence our CCRPI score as much because there's not that many of them in our school population. What we want to look at is our Black and Hispanic groups, because this is where the majority of our population is, and this is where you're going to see those scores increase for our CCRPI. So our Black students, which are 47% of our population, they are trending upwards just a little bit, but not as much as we'd want to see. Again, only 40.55% of students, of Black students, scored 3s or 4s on the milestones last year, and these are 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Our Hispanic population is of concern this year because you will notice they have dropped over the last 3 years. And so that is why we've included them into our school improvement plan, because we're trying to reach out and see what is going on and how can we get our Hispanic students up to proficiency. And this is important because they are 38.9% of our school's population right now. So we want to be looking at these numbers. Our multiracial and our multiracial group is tracking upwards, and our white population, which is about 8.1% of our population, they dropped a little bit, but they are kind of just remaining consistent, where 65 to 64% are getting 3s and 4s. So I really want you guys as a PLC to be looking at specifically these groups of students, and we're going to start really digging in and seeing what's going on there. Our strengths are that overall, our milestone scores in all content areas have seen an increase over the past 3 years. Even if the ELA did drop this last year, the math kind of made up for it. Our 8th grade has consistently seen a growth in ELA scores, which is awesome, and we want to really ask them what's going on in their department and what they're doing to raise those scores. And while our Asian and Pacific Islander population only accounts for 2.8% of our school, their ELA scores are consistently showing improvement. And so for the 2018 to 2019 school year, 79.54% of these students scored at or above proficiency. Our weakness, like we've discussed previously, is our Hispanic population. Only 25.6% of Hispanic students scored at or above proficiency, and they've actually dropped from the last year. So we would like to include them in our school improvement plan. And our Black population, which is 47% of our school, shows small growth throughout the last 3 years. And so again, we want to focus on those two. I'm going to leave you guys here, and what I want you guys to do for a little bit is to get into your ELA PLC groups and discuss what you've seen. You all have copies of this data in front of you, along with the posters that are set up around the room. What trends do you notice? What inferences can we make about the data that we are seeing? Please record your thoughts on the Post-it notes provided, and then we will get back together as a group in just a few minutes and discuss what we are seeing. Thank you so much for participating in this data dig, and I look forward to seeing and hearing your observations. Have a great day.